Good morning and welcome to Coffee Talk. Yesterday, an old friend from high school wrote me a letter, and she said, Jamie, how do you deal with triggers? Her husband had an emotional affair, and they are working on things. They are working on putting their marriage back together. And she said that for her, the hardest part is when she feels triggered, when something reminds her of the affair, or when she hears something about, there's actually a two-part. She wants to know how to deal with the triggers because they will do really well and then something will trigger her and they'll go backward. The second part was, she said, I understand that the responsibility lied in him. He was the one married to me. He was the one that made the commitment. But shouldn't the woman have some ownership of her behavior? I mean, she knew he was married. To that I say, absolutely. Yes. While I don't think that we should, a lot of times we want to make the woman the focus, because what that does is it takes the burden of responsibility for what's going on in our own home off us and onto her, right? We all know how I feel about women who say, well, if you were taking care of your man, he wouldn't have come to me. I want to meet those women in a dark alley. But the truth is this: strong marriages where communication is the foundation and there's intimacy and respect, those marriages are not fractured by affairs. They're just not. So, oftentimes when I speak to women whose husbands have had affairs, at first they start saying, I don't know why he did this. I'm a great wife. I don't know why he did this. But the longer we talk, you start to see things that the women start to get honest with themselves about, their part in all of it, right? Especially if a man's having an emotional affair, because men, when they cheat, typically cheat just to have sex. So anyway, but is there ownership on the woman's part? Yes, of course there is. Absolutely. Anytime your actions directly hurt another person, there's ownership. You have to own that. Should you destroy her? No. Should you seek her out on social media and belittle her and shame her? No. Because at the end of the day, you're just deflecting. You're just deflecting. She knows what she did. She knows what she did. And one day, she will make vows and have to live in some secret fear that someone will do it to her. That is payback enough. Because one day she will love someone enough that she will dedicate her entire life to building something with him and have a fear that someone like her will come along and get in the way of that. So, and who wants to live like that? So just know that eventually she will have that fear. If she doesn't, she's a fool. But back to the triggers. Triggers in life come for every pain, right? Any pain. Father's Day is coming, and I'm starting to see lots of pictures of people with their daddy on Facebook. For me, that is a trigger. I immediately think about my father and Father's Day and that he's not here, and think about him dying and get very sad. And I have learned to lean into it as part of my grieving process. Instead of running from the trigger, instead of reacting to the trigger, I go, here it is. Here come the feelings. I'm going to let it happen. Because the more you fight triggers, the more you get frustrated with the fact that they happen, I think the worse the reaction. For me, whenever I feel triggered by anything, I just not too long ago was reading my book parts of my book. And I got to the part where I talk about my ectopic pregnancy and losing that baby. And I started to cry. And I'm like, why are you crying? These are your words. You wrote them. This is your story. You know what this is. And then I realized that it is still a trigger for me. It is still part of my story and my experience. And it's okay for me to be sad. So I just let it happen. And instead of fighting it, instead of trying to buck up, instead of reacting to it, I just let it happen. I cried and the moment passed. Triggers will happen. Trying to forgive betrayal is so hard because we don't want to let go of the anger because we don't want them to think that their actions were okay. We feel like if there's a trigger and we let it pass, that somehow we're saying, oh, by the way, the affair you had, I'm over it. Totally fine. They know you're not fine. You don't have to die on the sword every trigger to remind anyone that you are not fine. If you are committed to making something work, don't fight the triggers when they come. Feel it, let your body respond the way it wants to respond, and then let it pass. I understand not wanting to let the hurt go. I understand wanting to hold on to it as part of your identity, almost part of it's part of your imprint. You want to make sure that they know you're still hurt. So don't get any funny ideas because just so you know, look what happens to me every time I hear her name, every time something comes up about an affair, when we're sitting in a room watching TV and the guy's having an affair. I want you to see the pain in my face because I don't want you to ever forget what you put me through. The truth is this, no matter how you try to control that, if they're going to cheat again, they are going to cheat again. All you can control is yourself. You are the person who is forgiving. You are the person who's willing to try again. Be that person. Be that person wholeheartedly. And if they cheat again, please know that that is the universe's way of saying, this person is not right for you. And I, unfortunately, am having to show you the worst of them to get you to walk away. And know then that it's time to go. But for now, be the person who forgives. Be the person who's all in. Be the person trying to work it out. My marriage with Michael is stronger now than it ever was. And we have been through a rainforest of things that should have separated us. And the truth is, we get up every day and we are the people who try to be all in. Yes, there are triggers, but we don't react to them the way we used to because now we understand that we don't want to go backward. You see, that's the truth. We don't want to go backward. We want to go forward. And when you're both moving in that direction, going backward is exhausting for everybody. And Michael and I are lazy. We don't want to put any more work in than we have to. Going backward means we have to do that much more work. It's all we can do to just, make it the next week and celebrate that. But know you're not alone and know that triggers are normal. Just lean into them, feel it, and keep moving. All right, guys. I love you so much today. Have a great day.